All right, I think we're ready to go ahead and get started. I'll introduce myself. I'm Fred Wickham, the NTDF coordinator with the Neighborhood Services Department. Also joining me are Sarah Wagner and Katie Islas on our team. Some of you might know Steve DeWild. He's the NTDF manager, and he's unable to be here today. So you've got me, Katie, and Sarah. If they want to introduce themselves, I'll let them say a couple words, then we can get started.
Yeah, hello. Thank you everyone for being here today. And I hope that you can learn something from this training. And if you have any questions, please use the chat. Katie and I will be monitoring that and answer any questions you might have. There's also a new feature on this kind of webinar, the Q&A. I'm going to post some frequently asked questions from the last training that we had. So you can also check that out as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie. You'll see me in the chat.
All right, so today we are doing applicant training on the NTDF portal. Many of you have done this before, so this is going to be new or old information for some of you, brushing up, and new information for some of you too. This is our second training. We've done this application cycle online like this. We do have another training coming up on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, from 4 to 6 p.m. at City Hall. Details about that training are online at kcmo.gov/NTDF. All right, I'm going to start the presentation. And like Sarah said, if anybody has questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type those in the chat, and Katie and Sarah will be there to help answer those. Right. The purpose of NTDF is to promote Kansas City's neighborhoods through cultural, social, economic, historic, educational, and recreational activities while promoting our city as a premier convention, visitor, and tourist center. NTDF was created by Missouri State statute, where this quote comes from, and then the city of Kansas City adopted it locally. To be eligible for NTDF funding, organizations must be a 501c3 not-for-profit incorporated in Missouri, in good standing with the state, and also recognized as a not-for-profit with the IRS. The physical address of the organization must also be located within the city limits of Kansas City, Missouri. The events must provide a clear appeal to persons who live in Kansas City, and also appeal to folks coming into Kansas City, tourists. So the application flow kind of goes like this next slide here. For first-time users, you'll register. You'll have to be approved by NTDF staff, making sure that you meet the qualifications of a organization that's eligible to apply for funding. After you register, you'll create your organization profile. That also has to be approved by NTDF staff. After that takes place, you'll create your event application, which also has to be approved by NTDF staff. And then once your event is eligible, you will be eligible to apply for funding, and the board will review your application and decide whether or not you get funding. The next couple screens are going to include registration through application submission. So if this is your first time using the NTDF portal, you'll need to complete and submit the registration. If it's not your first time, you will not have to do that. So you'll get an email to verify your email address after you fill out the information on the NTDF portal. If you're a returning NTDF portal user, you will use the login screen. Do not use the registration screen. You'll log in here with your email address, password, and log in. If you forgot your password, we can help with that as well. So you'll get to the NTDF portal from kcmo.gov/NTDF, and the links are on that page right here. So registration if you're a first-time user, and for returning users, NTDF login. So whenever you first log in, you'll see the dashboard, and you will click Create Organization Profile to start, which is the first step of the process in applying. And it looks like we were just joined by Forrest Decker, the Neighborhood Services Director. Thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. Thank you for conducting this.
All right, so back to the first step, creating your organization profile. You'll log in, and the first thing you'll see is the dashboard. You'll click Create Organization Profile and go on to the next step. So the NTDF portal is set up to be pretty user-friendly. You will click on organization information, enter your organization name, organization common name, and address. Let's go on to the next page. As you complete each page in the organization profile, you can either click Save and Exit to leave and come back later to complete it, or you can click Save and Continue on to the next step. The entire process of creating an organization profile does have to be completed before you move on to the next step of creating an event profile. So on to the next tab. And also for everybody watching, these slides are available online at the kcmo.gov/NTDF. That site you can visit to find all of the training materials, to find the links to log into this NTDF portal, and so on. So the two of the major things we need whenever you're creating your organization profile is your certificate of good standing from the Secretary of State, and your federal tax ID number, which you'll put right here. The certificates of good standing need to be up to date, and they need to be dated within 2 years of the start of your event. So to upload your certificate, like I said, you can either drag and drop it into the portal here, or you can upload it. This is just an example of what a certificate of good standing looks like from the state of Missouri. And we actually do need this certificate. Sometimes groups will send a screenshot of the Secretary of State's website saying that they're in good standing, or their application for a certificate. And for the purposes of NTDF and to enter into a contract with the city, we need the actual certificate like what is on the screen here, and it has to be no more than 2 years old. If you're returning NTDF applicant from the previous cycle, whenever you're creating your organization profile for your new events, you can copy. You have the option, like shown here, to copy prior information, so you don't have to type everything over again. But if anything did change, we need that updated in here. So as you move to contact information tab, you have the option of adding both project director, and that'd be the key person who's working on this project, and also the executive director. If it's the same person, please just use the project director fields. As you continue to work through the organization profile tabs, make sure you save and continue so you don't lose any of your information. You will see a profile saved message on the upper left-hand corner of the screen, what's circled up here. Underneath this tab, there's some important information we need, and this ties into other requirements that I'll mention in a few minutes, but we need to know the number of W-2 paid employees that are permanent employees. These do not include contractors reported on a 1099. There are different requirements for workers' comp insurance based on the number of paid W-2 employees you have. So please make sure that number is accurate and filled out. And if you have any questions, we're always happy to help answer those. We also need to know the number of vehicles registered to your organization. These are vehicles that are actually registered to your organization, not just a vehicle. If you have a vehicle that's used by your organization but not registered to your organization, we don't need that. We just need the number of vehicles that are actually registered under your organization's name. And again, that is because if you have a vehicle registered under your organization's name, that there are some different insurance requirements based on that. The next part is the organization budget tab that requires you to provide information on the finances for your entire organization, not just this event. And the level of detail we need here is we just need, we need a basic overview of the a revenue budget and an expense budget for your organization, for the entire organization for the year that you are applying for NTDF funding. And this kind of goes with, everything that I've talked about so far, and also what I'll talk about in the future. But it's, on the whole application, it's recommended that you provide as much detail as possible to provide a complete view of the organization. This really helps the board when they're, sorting through the hundreds of applications we get. The more detail you can provide on your application, the better and more successful the application will be. So after the last tab, the final tab on the organization profile, is the submit tab. The submit tab also includes the assurances and terms and conditions for submitting the application. This is important because this is how you agree to the city's terms and conditions that allow you to go on to the next step. So please make sure that whenever you're applying, you read through all the assurances closely and actually go through and make sure you click the submit button at the bottom of the final tab. Sometimes organizations will just fill out everything and forget to submit. So it's sitting there, everything's filled out, but they don't actually submit the organization profile application. And that's not something we can do on our end because we can't agree to the terms and conditions on behalf of your organization. Some of the things, some of the parts of the application, we can actually go in and change on our end. But unless you agree to the terms and conditions on this last tab, we can't edit things on our end. And here's just what it'll look like whenever you go to agree to the terms and assurances. Just a signature and title. So on to the next step. Now that you've created an organization profile, NTDF staff will get a notification, and we have to review and approve each organization profile. So if there are any edits that are needed, NTDF staff will reach out to you. The email that you'll receive about that will come from the NTDF portal email address. So keep an eye out for that. All right, once your organization profile has been approved, you can go on to the next step to create your event profile for whatever event you want to apply for funding. Completing and submitting the organization profile, like I said, is just the first part of the application. An event application must also be submitted for a complete application. An organization profiles without any event applications will not be considered for awards. In the create event screen, all applicants will have the large create a new event application. Clicking it will take you to a blank event application form. If you've applied for events in the past, you'll have the option to copy your event and just edit it for the new year. For example, if it's an annual event that takes place every year, and there are only minor changes needed, you can copy the details into the new event.
Hey, Fred, just a clarifying question for folks. If they've once you create an organization profile, you don't have to recreate that every single time. Is that correct? It saves it from year to year?
You have to go through and submit a new one each year, but you can, like in the event application, you can copy most of the data over. So the first step would be registration, and that's what they don't. Once you register, you don't have to create a new one of those every year. But the organization profile, we do need them to go through it and agree to the terms and conditions and make sure everything is up to date. Sarah can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
Yeah, no, that's correct. We just ask that you kind of review this part of the application to make sure that all the information is up to date, and that there hasn't been like a big change in staff or anything like that. So we just don't want to carry over old kind of stale data.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that.
thanks. That was a good question. So on the first page of the event application, obviously is just filling out your event title. You must select one of the two drop-down selections. If your event is receiving other funding from the city of Kansas City, we need to know that. And you can select that here on number 2. So the next step is putting in your event location. And like I said, that the location of the event must be in Kansas City, Missouri proper, in the city limits of Kansas City. Next is the amount you're requesting. And we have had some questions about, how much should I request? What's the most I can request? And, those sort of questions. And what we've heard from the board is the board would really like applicants to apply to request the amount that they actually need. So, like I said before, just be as detailed as possible and put in a the board has said they would like the request to, reflect the amount that is actually needed for the event. Event dates. This is the next step. You'll put in your event dates. If the event is a series, for example, you would put in the date of each concert. So if there's 5 performances on the spread out over 5 months, you would put in the dates of the concerts individually. And if the dates for a series could also be in a date range. So for example, if you have 5 performances, but they're on Friday and Saturday of each month, you could put the series in as in that way. Below that is just a room for you to type in a brief narrative overview of how often the event takes place and put in any information you think is important about the frequency of your event. This example here shows a series that consists of 5 individual concerts, with each concert taking place on Friday or Saturday. So each group of dates is for one of the concert weekends. And why does this matter? It helps the committee understand the event better than just listing the start and end date of the series. It also helps us get dates of the series correct on the NTDF calendar of awarded events. So the city maintains a calendar of events on their website to help promote events that are funded through NTDF, and it's important to have a as much detail as possible in the application about those events so we can keep that calendar up to date and make sure the events are promoted on the city website. The next field is just space for you to write a short description of your event. This is, your chance to sell the event to someone who knows nothing about the event as quickly as possible. This will be used to add to the NTDF calendar as well. So whatever you want on the NTDF calendar on the city's website would go under short description. Admission, you just need to select whether the event is free or ticketed. If there's an other admission type, for example, it may be free, but tickets are sold for VIP seating or something like that, you can type that in other admission methods. Event description is the next part. This is the longer, more detailed version of the event description to explain to the NTDF committee members themselves about your event. I would recommend here being as detailed as possible, putting anything you want committee members to know about your event when they're making funding decisions. So after you click the Save and Continue on the first event application tab, you'll notice that the event title is now updated at the title of the page. There is also an in-process application data saved confirmation at the very top, and the pages in progress the page tabs here, I guess, progress the same way they did in the organization profile screens. So you'll have tabs along the top of the screen, and you would complete your event application in that order. Just like with the organization profile, continue working through the application, filling out or editing your event application with the skills and techniques you've already learned. The fourth tab here is an important one. This is the budget section where you will put in detailed information about your revenue and expenses for your event. Section 1 is the projected or forecasted budget for the event. Section 2 also needs to be completed if this event was held in the past. So this is if your event has occurred in the past, we also need the actual budget data from those past events filled out here under Section 2. The next step of the budget is you'll also need to, fill out your expenditures for the event. The expenditures section has the same requirements as the revenue sections. So for example, you would put NTDF, as an we need to know, the specific category of each expenditure item and how much of the total NTDF award will be spent in the corresponding category. And this is just a list of qualified expense categories. So NTDF does have NTDF funds can't just be used for anything. There are certain expense categories that NTDF funds can be spent on, and these are some of the categories. So postage, entertainment, printing, permits, security, advertising, office supplies. You can read the list here. Any expenses that will be submitted to NTDF for reimbursement on the final report must fit within these categories. And it's recommended that you use these categories as a guide for planning your NTDF expenses. This will help out a lot when you're compiling your final report. The final tab for the event application includes the assurances, just like the organization profile. These are required for all applications before staff is able to review them. So just like on the organization profile, you're going to read through these and sign at the bottom. After submitting and saving an event application, you'll be returned to the dashboard, and there will be a confirmation at the top left of the page. You could continue to create event applications by clicking the Create Event button. Organizations can apply for multiple events, so if you would like to create another event, you would just go through the same process again. The board has let us know this cycle that they do prefer, if the event is a series, for that to be one application, and then list the individual events within the series. You can also take actions on current events at this stage. For events that are in progress, click the icon to edit and finish the applications. For events that are submitted, you can click View. And just like the organization profile, after you submit your event, if staff is reviewing and notices that part of the application needs revisions or edits or more detail before it is approved, we will reach out to the organization through the portal and request those updates. So again, this is just how to access the NTDF portal. You can go to kcmo.gov/NTDF. And on the left part of the screen, under application, you can find the link for that. We hope you found this review helpful. If you have any questions, all of us are easy to get a hold of. Feel free to reach out and about any questions you might have. If you'd like to set up a individual one-on-one meeting to go over any of this information, we're more than happy to do that. Like I said, we have another training coming up next Tuesday, or this coming Tuesday, I'm sorry, on the 12th at City Hall from 4 to 6 p.m. If you would like more information about that, you can find that information about that at kcmo.gov/NTDF. And we'd be more than happy to sit down with you at that and go over any questions you have about this process.
Yeah, I just wanted to copy off what Fred was saying. That training that we're having on Tuesday we're kind of trying it out. It's more of a workshop. So we encourage you to come into City Hall. We're going to have our conference room set up, and you can bring your laptops, and we can, if you have any specific questions about the application, we can help you in real time kind of pull those up and work through some of those issues. So there is a registration for that, and I will go ahead and save that or send that in the chat. So feel free to sign up for that, and it's from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. This upcoming Tuesday. And we do have a couple questions, Fred, that I'll go ahead and read out now that we're kind of done, because this one, Leslie asked a question. This was asked in our last webinar too. If can you have multiple organization profiles submitted by someone with the same, oh, this is a little different actually. Can you have multiple organization profiles submitted by someone with the same email address? Leslie volunteers for 2 different organizational boards that would be submitting 2 different applications. I believe that you can do, well, I don't, you would have the same login. Fred, do you know that?
I don't know the answer to that actually. If you want to email us, or we can get your contact information from the chat, I'd be happy to look into that. I've never had that come up. I would say that we probably need 2 separate email addresses just to keep the 2 organizations separate, and the 2 profiles separate would be the easiest thing. And
Yeah,
just the best way to do it. But
I would think so as well, that you would, because if there was one login, it would, I don't know if it could dive into 2 profiles like that. Yeah, Leslie, thank you. That's a great question. We will, I see your email there, so we will reach out, and find an answer for you. Um, so, and Dave asked about the status of the 2023 funds. That he submitted a report on a 90-day report. We are working on those, Dave. So we will look into that and make sure to get your report reviewed, and if there's any edits, get it back to you. Um, one other question that came up last time was that if you have an organization um, that needs to have 2 people to register, so you want, if maybe you and another coworker is working on the same application, or you both want to get into the organizational profile to upload documents or anything like that, we have to manually add that in the portal, but we can do that. So if that's something that you all are needing, please again reach out to us at that ntdf@kcmo.org email, and we can get that set up for you. Are there any other questions?
should we go over I meant to mention this at the first of the presentation, but just in case anybody's wondering, the annual cycle that is open now until the end of the year opened on November 1st. So applications started to be accepted on November 1st, can be accepted until 11:59 p.m. on December 31st. And this application cycle is for events that take place during the city's next fiscal year. So that would be May 1st, 2024 through April 30th of 2025. So any events that take place during that time can apply for NTDF funds um, in this cycle that's open now. Usually there is another application cycle later in the year, but that is at the discretion of the NTDF board. And we don't know it right now if that's not finalized yet. But like I said, that in the past, that's always been something that has taken place as another application cycle later in the year. Is there anything else you want to add about that, Sarah?
No, just if you have any problems, please reach out. We again are gonna close this on the 31st at midnight. I hope no one's applying at that time, but so if there's anything that we can do to help you move through this, again, the workshop, we actually have a couple board members who are on this webinar right now, so thank you guys for joining. And thank you all for being here today and learning more about NTDF. And even if you can attend the workshop on Tuesday, if there's somebody else you want to, invite, please do so.
And I'll just add this too. I mean, part of our job as staff is trying to, really get out there and communicate about NTDF as much as possible to groups in the community. We try to go to as many community meetings and city council district meetings as we can. So if any of you, anybody on this meeting has ideas or has, a neighborhood or a group that they'd like us to come share a little bit about NTDF, we'd be more than happy to get that on our calendar and do outreach that way. So feel free to reach out to anybody, any of us on this meeting, or just email the NTDF main email address if you have those requests.
Okay, thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.